Hi, this is a review for points, lines, and postulates, and these are some test questions basically. Use the figure below to answer the question, and we're answering if it's true or false basically. Angle ABD, so this is this angle, ABD is congruent, or they're vertical angles, let's see, and angle EBC are vertical angles. So if you look at this, they intersect at one point. So this is true. Now, angle GCA, so where's A? So angle GCA and CBD are congruent angles. So are these two congruent? And that would be false. We don't have enough information and nothing is marked. They actually don't even look congruent. So that's a false. Okay, we're going to name the properties. So we have reflexive property of equality, symmetric, and transitive. So it's one of those. And we're dealing with just real numbers here. So since this is just C equals C, this is called the reflexive property. And you would say of real numbers. Of real numbers. And for this one, if angle 4 equals angle 5 and angle 5 equals angle 8, then angle 8 equals angle 4. So since these two are the same, it's a transitive property, and we're dealing with angles, so it is the transitive property for angles, so for angle measure. All right, and the commutative property, is that on there? The symmetric property would be if AB equals CD, then CD equals AB. And that one's pretty easy, but that's your symmetric one. So if you have something like X equals 4, you could also write 4 equals X. And that would be your symmetric property, because you're just switching it around. All right. Now we have this one. We have to prove, and I know this is hard to see, but it says prove or fill in these drop boxes basically. So it says the measure of angle 1 is congruent to 90 degrees. And that is going to be definition of right angles and perpendicular lines. All right. Then it says measure of angle 2 is congruent to 90 degrees. And what they want you to do on this is, if you're going to use the same definition, then you write that as number 2. So the second time you use the reason, choose the reason with number 2 at the end. And then we're going to substitute that measure of angle 1 is congruent to the measure of angle 2, or equals the measure of angle 2. And that's just using substitution, because they both equal 90 degrees. So you could say 90 degrees equals 90 degrees. And basically these are the definitions of if two lines are perpendicular, they form a right angle. if two lines intersect to form right angles, or let's just say 90 degrees, then they are perpendicular. All right, here's another one that we're going to pull down. So it says, use the figure above to help you fill in the drop boxes below. So this is your A, B, C, D, and E. So it says measure of angle AEB equals the measure of CED. And it's even marked that these are the same. All right, so we're using the reflexive property to say that the measure of angle BEC equals the measure of BEC, angle BEC. Then we're going to get our given here, and we're going to have the measure of angle AEB, and since these are the same, we're going to add them. So measure of angle BEC equals the measure of angle BEC. I'm using this one. Not that one. I'm going to use CED plus BEC. Since these two are the same, the reflexive property, that means I can add them to both sides of the equation. So that's your addition property. And then for C, it says measure of angle AEC. Where is that? Measure of AEC and this is this one, whoops, equals measure of angle AEB plus BED. And that's just your angle addition postulate. So if you have two angles here, this one and say this one's different, these two add up to form the whole angle for this. All right, so that's your angle addition postulate 1. And then you can do the same thing for the next line. Basically, we're doing the same thing. And then you substitute. So since we have these two, AEC and BED, then we can substitute and say that the measure of angle AEC equals the measure of angle BED. And that's that one. And that's it. So thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.